Everybody, it's Mark from Blastworks Surface Prep. I hope you're having a great day. So I wanted to bring you an update today on our truck build. We made a lot of progress this past week, as we have done in the last several weeks. It seems the weather is more or less broke here in our area of the country, so we've been able to make some pretty significant progress. So what we were able to accomplish this past week was we set up our blasting equipment, and we were able to blast the entire frame of the truck and then put on a two-part epoxy primer, and then we top coated that with a high solids polyurethane. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that whole process. So we are using a recycled bottle glass media. It is 4070 coarseness. So what's done is this blasting media, it's ground and crushed bottle glass. So what happens is there are companies out there that take return bottles and they crush them into recycled bottle glass blasting media. It's crushed and ground, and then it goes through a process where they remove any of the contaminants, so the labels or any liquids that might have been left in them, etc. And then they are packaged either in 50-pound bags, 100-pound bags, or the way we purchase them is in a 3,000-pound super sack. Alright, so let me break it down for you. We've taken this recycled bottle glass that's been ground into small particles, very much like beach sand. So now what we're doing is we've put it in our blast pot. We're sending it under high velocity through a blasting hose into a nozzle. And what happens when the media gets into that nozzle is it's squeezed into a smaller diameter, almost like going through a funnel that opens back up again. It's called a double venturi nozzle, and it accelerates those particles as they come out of the end of the nozzle, and they pulverize the rust in the old paint, and the particles are small enough that they get right into the pores of the steel. So you are virtually eliminating all of the rust, and you're left with a nice clean steel. Then after that's done, we mix up a two-part epoxy, and that's a chemically cured product. It's not reliant on air for curing. So there's a short window of time that you have to apply this product, and it literally gets down into the pores of the steel that you've opened up and cleaned and locks to the surface, which gives you a good, hard, durable substrate for your top coat paint to stick to. And then we top that with a high solids polyurethane, which has some flexibility to it, and it gives you a nice durable finish, which is actually better than the factory paint job on a frame. Those are usually the vehicles produced, well, particularly if we talk about larger trucks, class 6, 7, 8 trucks. The chassis is assembled, all of the components are put on it, a lot of the wiring in the air lines are installed in it, and then it's painted quickly. So you don't have as durable of a finish. And then particularly in this part of the country, in the Northeast, where we have winters and they use salt and calcium on the roads, it destroys frames very quickly. So you could actually have a 3 or 4 year old vehicle that's already showing some pretty decent signs of rusting. So the process that we provide to you will help to mitigate that, and you should have a much stronger and a much more durable finish that's going to last for quite some time. We've really been having a fun time with this whole process. It's new to us, and I'm happy to share it with you. I want you to see everything that we've gone through in order to make this happen, and it's an amazing transformation. I mean, to see what this truck that we purchased was rusted, the paint in most areas of the frame was completely delaminated from the surface. There were huge sheets of paint and rust that came off prior to the actual blasting that we did. I'm sure there were people out there that thought, you're crazy, this truck is garbage. But I knew what I had, and I knew what we could make. And when you see the afterwards pictures and the video that I've shot of the finished product, you're not going to believe it. So I really don't even have to sell this product. It's going to sell itself, and we really can't wait to help you with your projects in the future. So the first step in this process is we have an operator that's wearing a specialized helmet. It's a respirator helmet that's built on top of a jacket, and there's filtered air that's brought into the helmet that's conditioned, so it's you can adjust the heating or the cooling of it, and also the amount of air pressure that comes into the helmet. So you'll see in the video that our operator, which is actually my son Matthew, in this particular video, he's enveloped in a cloud of dust, which is a combination of the rust that's being blown off of the frame and the blasting media itself. And he's in a nice calm little cocoon, breathing fresh air. Visibility is not always great, but the fact of the matter is he's safe inside of that helmet. So once we go through that process and we blast away all the old paint and the rust, you're basically left with a clean steel surface. And what's great about this process is that we're actually profiling the surface. Now, admittedly, in this truck there was a lot of pitting from the rust. It kind of looks like the frame in a lot of places has acne, because we're sort of an extreme case given the condition the truck was in when we purchased it. The last 4 years or so, this truck was relatively idle, and I believe for its whole life it was parked on a gravel surface. So the moisture that got at this frame on this was, unbelievable. And I also am not so sure that the previous owner did such a great job of throughout a year cleaning the truck. Our plan moving forward is periodically through the winter months we will wash and rinse that frame to try and prevent any salt and dirt from sitting on the frame where it's going to collect moisture and promote rust. So now we have this surface that has been properly prepared for painting. So let's just take it a little step further and say that your project is not nearly as rusted as ours is, and you've got relatively smooth surfaces once the blasting process has been completed. You're going to have a perfect surface for epoxy primer to attach to. So then what we do is we mix a 2-part epoxy, and then we'll spray it on, and that's going to even out and level out quite nicely. And then depending on the size of the project, our goal would be to try and get epoxy primer and a top coat of paint all in the same day. That's not necessarily always possible. However, once we've got that frame or whatever we're working on for you in primer, you're good. The metal's protected. It isn't going to flash over, and we can reschedule another day, perhaps even the next day, depending on how scheduling goes, to come out and put the top coat on. There's a variety of colors that you could choose from. Typically frames are black. This particular one we did in a gloss black. I like satin black as well. And we could do flat if you wanted flat. So you can see in these before pictures how bad the truck actually was. The radiator core support was literally rotted. Fortunately, that's a bolt-on part. We removed that old one, and we have a brand new one that we're going to put in its place. But you can see the perch that's part of the frame that the radiator core support attaches to. It looks brand new, and everything around it looks brand new. It's an amazing transformation. I mean, you can probably tell I'm pretty excited about it. My son said to me yesterday, he goes, Dad, I got to be honest with you. You brought that truck home, and I kind of thought you were crazy. But he said, I can't believe how nice it looks. So I knew I had a diamond in a rough, and this truck was coming out fantastic. Nice and clean, everything came out. Now as we pan down the driver's side of the truck, the frame is all nicely done. We did the spiders, which is part of the, well, not really the backing plate, but the spiders of the drive axle where the brake drums will attach, and those are all nicely clean finish now. We also did the wheel hubs. Those have been blasted, and pretty soon those are going to go back on the truck. So here's the next step on what we have to do. We have to reassemble the rear axle. We're going to reuse the bearings. The bearings are in good shape. Everything back there has been blasted and painted. So we're going to reassemble the hubs, and then we're going to put the new brake hardware and shoes on the rear axle. And then this is kind of cool and exciting. We're actually going to put super singles on the back of this truck, which for those of you that don't know what that is, most typically trucks have dual tires on rear axles. Well, there's this option where you can use, it's a single tire. It's quite wide. I want to say it's about 24 inches wide, perhaps. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's going to be a single tire on each side on an aluminum wheel. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to reassemble the front of the truck. So we have to put the radiator core support in, the radiator, the charge air cooler, the condensing coil for the air conditioning, because yes, we are going to have air conditioning in this old girl. I guarantee it. So we got to put that stuff back together. We put a new water pump in the truck. I'd made the decision that since I had the whole front of it apart, we may as well put a water pump in it. We're going to clean the engine up as best we can. We're going to shoot some new fresh cat yellow paint on it. And I'm hoping that in a week to no more than 2 weeks, the truck's going to be running again. The only other thing we need to do is we're going to pick the front end up and take the front wheels off. I've got new tires coming from the front axle, the steer axle, and we're going to clean and polish the front aluminum wheels for the truck. And then we'll inspect and replace anything we need to as far as brake hardware goes on the front of the truck, or wheel seals, bearings, any of that might be a problem. We'll get that all taken care of. And the goal is we're going to be ready to work by the end of April. So I'll hope that you'll call us with your projects. I'd love to talk with you. We can come out and take a look at what you've got and help you figure out what the best steps are to bring your project to completion. And please give us a call. We can be reached at area code 585-236-4470. I don't have a website up yet. I've got the URL. The reason I don't is partly because I've been so busy with all this other stuff, but the other reason is I want to make sure that we're using photographs of our work, and I don't want to pirate pictures off the internet from other sources. So now I've got some footage and photographs of work that we've actually done. So pretty quickly here I'll put together a website. We do have a Facebook page though, and an Instagram. So it's Blastworks Surface Prep on Facebook and on Instagram. So check our pages out. You can also head over to our YouTube channel. I've got progress videos there of the build of this truck. I also have some equipment videos. Most recent one would be the RPB T-Link blasting, or I should say painting hood. I'm going to have a second part to that coming out in the near future. And so go to the page, subscribe to it, like the videos. You can help us out greatly with that. And with that, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Mark Antonor, and you've been watching Blastworks Surface Prep, and have a great day.